All right, welcome. ARPG's Lesson 1, Inking, Pin-Up a Cover. Going through my brush selects, picking my Hunt 102. Brush size, it will be between a 6 or a 7. Keep everything organized in this folder, so it'll make it simpler to ink or illustrate in it. I went ahead and went into the file select, which is the layers right here, and there's a border layer, ink border layers that I usually ink on, and there's a blacks, there's a background, there's a white, there's a layer. Each layer is like traditionally inking. So what I did is one best way as an inker I've learned is to be completely organized while you ink. Case in point, many times as an inker, I've forgot what I was inking. I forgot what I was working on. So make sure you keep everything organized as possible, because you never know what you're going to be working on, where you're going to put the file. I have so many, I have hundreds, I have thousands of images and inks I've worked on, and I don't even know where it goes to. So case in point, this file that I made will keep everything nice and organized for you, so no worries. Jumping into inking line weights, thick to thin lines. It's really important when you go in and you're adding thick to thin lines. Rewind a little bit. You want to push in and push out. By pushing in and pushing out, you get that diamond line effect. As far as texture, and adding texture to inks is very, very important. As inkers, it's not our jobs to trace the image, it's our jobs to embellish and to make it better. So that is what we're trying to do, and that's what we're trying to achieve. Right here, adding textures to the feathers, and I'll be jumping around here and there as my wrist warms up. I get a better feel of the line weights, what I'm throwing, what I wanted to achieve, and what I want to do. Adding a lot of great details. I always use reference in my life while I'm inking, or something that I worked on, or something that I like. A lot of Topcow, a lot of image stuff is very, very detailed. There's a lot of cool detail with gargoyles, with gremlins, or angels, or items that are flying around with Valkyries with wings, and it's always good to cross-reference, I've learned. Also, it's also good to play around and see what you get. As you see, the puncher did a great job with giving me the idea of what he wanted as far as the pencils, but it's when we're adding the detail, we definitely want to add the line weights, and add the heavy strokes, and add the extra things that we want it to make it pop out. Adding some X's. X's mean blacks. I'm going to come in, I'm going to drop blacks in it on top. It's a reminder that it's going to be filled with ink. When I was traditionally inking, it was for a spotter or for a artist to come in later and to paint the blacks in with corner graph or black magic. I did separate the layers in this file, so it's going to make it way easier to keep a track of everything that you're doing while you're inking. So just in case if you make a mistake, it's going to show that hey, it's a lighter layer. Go back to the ink layer. Always work on your push to thin lines. There's a lot of push lines, and there's a lot of different textures. There's feathers, there's hair. We're going to be working on tree bark, water, moon. A lot of great textures in this file right here. And I did drop the pencil file in the folder so you can work with me while I'm inking, while I'm narrating and talking about how I approach this piece right here. And this image is inked in Procreate. I've used maybe 1 or 2 brushes. It's definitely not the program, it's the artist. You can do the same thing by hand traditionally, or you can do the same thing in Clip Studio. If you do it by hand, you're going to be using a lot of whiteout, so you have to make sure that you're throwing the correct lines that you need. One great feature about Procreate is that you can come in and you can double tap and it erases the mistake that you make. So as you're going to see, I'm going to be like boom, 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 boom. I'm going to be erasing the mistakes that I make while I'm inking this picture right here. You're going to be also learning cross-hatching, feathering. I'm throwing my lines and adding a little chunk in the end and dripping it back up to give it a nice feather and shadow texture. I learned that texture from watching and training under Matt Banning at Topcow back in my earlier years of inking. And Matt Banning, aka Bat, is amazing with textures, amazing with throwing his thick to thin lines. It was such a pleasure watching him ink for hours. I would just sit there and I would watch him and I'm like, man, this guy is elite. You can tell he loves what he do. And loving what you do will change the outcome of your image. So now we're getting a lot of thick to thin shapes. When we're inking something that's in front of something else, for instance, this horn from her wing, it's going to be thicker than the hair in the background. It's going to give it a 3D feel or a 3D effect of telling you, hey, it's closer and the image in the back is farther. And that's what being an inker is something that we have to focus on, is understanding line weights. As you see, I went down the wing and I added really thick to thin, thick to thin, thick to thin lines, or thin to thick lines, and I pushed in and I pushed out. And it also gives it a texture, a bevel texture that we're looking for and that we want. And never be afraid to experiment. Even though the artist came in and gave us the idea of what the wing's supposed to look like, just imagine if this was actual wing itself. Google a bat or Google something that has similar wings. Would it be perfect, or will it have texture? Would it have indentations? Will it have items that will make it stand out? So our goal is to, I would like to say over embellish the pencils, make it look good. And I'm pushing out, throwing my lines out, taking my time. In, push out, and go back in. That's what you call a diamond effect, is when you start really thin in and you push in and you go out. That's looking good. Now normally I usually start with the head or the eyes, but I'm really always excited about inking detail. So when I seen her wings, I'm like, man, I'm gonna jump on the wings. And as my wrist is warming up, I'm gonna go ahead and whip out the hair texture. Try to get a nice feel for the hair. And never be afraid to erase and come back, erase and come back. Inking traditionally, I used a French curve that you can buy from the art supply store. I believe it's, don't quote me, I think between $15 and $18. You get a pack of 3 to 4 Stettler French curves, and I've used that because I'm really keen on attention to detail. Zoom in. One thing I like about Procreate is you can just pinch and zoom. I don't have to worry about squinting my eyes. I can just come in and then draw in. All right, tree bark time. Yeah, this is going to, what I'm looking to do is add texture that's different than the texture that's on the wing, that's on the hair. I want to add a texture that's going to make the image pop out. And there's a lot of great traditional artists, inkers that I follow online, many of them, and I'm always pushing myself to be better. So I'm like, okay, let's over embellish the tree bark. Weems was amazing on textures. As I watched him work, I've always studied his textures. And Scott Williams is amazing with adding the cool effects. So you have to build up your portfolio and say, you know what or who do I look up to? Or what reference do I need? And a lot of times there's some life. You can go outside and look at the tree itself and be like, okay, the tree actually bevels in. It had big chunks of shadows in the tree. So we can add that into our inks. We can add realistic life into our work. Going to be working on the tree bark by the water. Okay, then the thin lines, then the thick lines. I'm going to be pushing in the water. I want to add this cool ripple effect in the water, and I think this is coming out great because it's giving it a 3D feel, and it looks amazing as far as it being organic. Overall, I think it's great with the texture I'm dropping right there, and that's from studying actual liquid, also looking at reference itself. I'll come in and I'm going to add a little drip feathering technique on the end because I want the texture to be different than any other texture that's on her wings, that's on her boots, that's on her hair, and that's on her body. I'm going to come in and I'm going to try to make this tree bark 3D. It's coming out great. Boom, boom. Adding the blades of the grass, quick erases. Depending on the shadow, I'm definitely going to clean it up because I definitely want it to be perspectively and organically, compatible. So you're going to see me sometimes zoom out and pause for a couple of seconds. And when I'm pausing, I'm resetting my eyes and I'm looking and I'm like, okay, I know what I want to do. As artists, every time I see an image, I'm looking at it, I'm like, whoa, I know exactly what I'm going to do to it. I know what I'm going to approach. I know what I'm going to fix. I'm inking in the drips of the blades of the grass. Waters are dropping. As you can see, it's not normal circles. They're beveled in. So work on pushing in, thinning out, pushing in. Going back to my blades of grass. Adding in my shadows to give it depth and clarity. Going back to my water. Definitely pushing in and pushing out with my hand. Not too hard. You can always upsize the brush. I think working on the 0.7, 0.6 is perfect for me with the brush that I created for Procreate. And again, the brush pack is in the download section.